Good day and welcome. The following information provides a quantitative research proposal in support of a structured peer evaluation system with a component of badging. Although peer review has been lauded as an effective online tool for student collaboration and the promotion of critical thinking skills within the realm of higher ed, how can it ever reach its full merit if students fail to participate and engage in the process? For instructors at Southern New Hampshire University, or SNU, the need to encourage student engagement and promote participation in the online peer review process is an ongoing effort. If an innovative and structured peer evaluation system with in-course badging capabilities is introduced in graduate courses at SNU, will student participation be impacted? Asynchronous online peer review is a topic that has received considerable research. Scholars denote numerous benefits obtained through both giving and receiving online peer review. Students exhibit evidence of analysis, synthesis, and evaluation processes through their observance of their peers and by way of the feedback that they provide. Through the receipt of peer comments, students can understand how others respond to their written effort and improve upon their own work. Researchers Nickel, Thompson, and Breslin discuss a failure in higher education environments to fully equip students with the knowledge and tools surrounding peer review assessment. The trio explains that students do not receive sufficient preparation for formulating and delivering feedback to their peers, nor do they receive guidance on how to interpret the feedback that they receive. In turn, a more structured and systematic approach to peer review could better prepare students for online engagement. Research surrounding the contemporary practice of badging and the relatively novel practice of awarding digital badges in the online academic environment is consistently evolving. However, it is limited in some areas. An area of deficiency in the current research is the use and display of digital badging within an online course environment as part of a structured peer evaluation system. As opposed to previous studies, this study will address a gap in the literature by analyzing the use of digital badging as a structured tool for peer review motivation when badges are displayed in an online course environment as opposed to a global marketplace or social media forums. This study offers significance as the use of badging can make monotonous and uninviting tasks such as online peer review more engaging and inviting for students. As students become more accepting of and comfortable with peer review, their participation and confidence levels increase. Through the review of the other students' work, they begin to reflect on their own submissions and implement improvements to their own work as well. By participating more fully in peer review activities, students tap into critical thinking skills and utilize elevated levels of Bloom's taxonomy. The purpose of this experimental quantitative study will be to explore online asynchronous peer review activity and discover the relationship between a structured peer evaluation system of badging and student participation in peer review assignments at SNU. Specifically, this study will compare student peer review participation in 4 graduate communication capstone classes over a 10-week term. 2 classes will utilize a structured peer evaluation system of badging as a motivator for participation in peer review activities, and 2 classes will abstain and utilize the standard discussion board platform that is currently in place. Student participation will be defined in a manner to ensure that results are comparable across classrooms of 12 to 14 students. A main research question and sub-questions surround the following. What is the influence of a structured peer evaluation system that utilizes badging on online asynchronous peer review activity participation levels in graduate communication classrooms at SNU? An additional quantitative research question regarding student perception has been added as well. What is the influence of a structured peer evaluation system that utilizes badges on students' perception of peer review in online graduate communication classrooms at SNU? The experimental research study will be conducted online at SNU, and participants will include a convenient sample of graduate communication students who are participating in their final capstone experience during a 10-week term. Although students will not be randomly assigned into the 4 different classrooms, each of the 4 classrooms will be randomly assigned into 2 groups, experimental and control, to create a quasi-experimental design. Students range in age from recent graduates of bachelor's degrees to middle-aged adults, and the majority of students are working adults. The design will include the independent variable of a structured peer evaluation system that utilizes badging and will research its influence on the dependent variable of online asynchronous peer review activity participation levels in GradComm classrooms at SNU. In addition, the independent variable of a structured peer evaluation system that utilizes badging will be researched for its influence on students' perceptions of peer review in online graduate communication classrooms at SNU. The first component of the quasi-experimental study will utilize a control group time series design in which non-randomly assigned participants are observed over time. As part of a between-subject design, treatment will be administered to an experimental group and withheld from a control group of approximately 20 to 25 students each. Prior to term kickoff, instructional designers at SNU will replace the standard peer review environment in experimental classrooms with a structured peer evaluation system that offers a component of badging. The system will be loaded into tasks 4.1 and 7.2. The second phase of the quasi-experimental design will utilize a non-equivalent pre-test and post-test control group design. As part of a between-subject design, treatment will be administered to the 2 experimental groups and will be withheld from the 2 control groups. All 4 of the groups will receive the same pre-test and post-test. A quantitative questionnaire, a 5-point Likert scale, will be utilized to gauge students' perceptions of peer review and online graduate communication classrooms at SNU. Following the initial consent form process, treatments will be administered in 4 stages, and data from the experimental research study will be collected in 4 corresponding stages. The required period to conduct the study will comprise a total of 20 weeks. The consent form, pretest, and post-test results will be available to the researcher via Qualtrics, and the data will be imported into an Excel spreadsheet instrument for documentation and review. Peer review activity and participation in weeks 4 and 7 will be gathered through the Blackboard reporting system in weeks 5 and 8 respectively. During data interpretation, results will be compared to the study research questions to determine if the implemented treatment made a difference in the outcomes observed during the study. It will be vastly important to contemplate ethical considerations and essential to examine professional association standards and consult the Code of Ethics from organizations such as the American Psychological Association and the American Education Research Association. Due to a direct relationship with SNU, the researcher will need to work diligently to respect potential power imbalances and avoid leading questions. Informal conversations with study participants can create trust and respect, and the researcher must respect the decision of the participants in whether to participate in the study or not. It will be imperative to go through SNU's Institutional Review Board for approval. In review of the quantitative and qualitative designs, I was more strongly drawn to the structure of the quasi-experimental quantitative design. I am unable to randomly assign students to classrooms at SNU to create a true experiment and must utilize a convenience sample. In turn, I randomly assigned the 4 classrooms to the 2 groups, experimental and control, to create a quasi-experiment. The designs selected work well for the capstone classrooms as both quantitative design approaches support non-random assignment of participants. As helpful feedback was provided each week, I worked to digest this insight and follow up with Dr. Liu as appropriate. As suggested revisions were implemented in one area, it was vastly important to consider how those adjustments impacted other sections and carry those changes forward. I worked to update my files throughout the term, and I feel that this was much easier than waiting to the end of the term to begin this process. The ability to receive instructor feedback and use online resources was extremely beneficial. Not only did these online resources provide a reference for the quantitative study, but they allowed me to further develop my database in support of my problem of practice. By creating the content for the final portfolio in a tiered process, the work was scaffolded throughout the term. I will continue to use this framework moving forward to ensure that work is manageable and that all aspects are covered and fit together well. Thank you.